Hi everyone, welcome to the newest episode of the Think Tank. Today we have my brother from an Irish mother, my best friend and co-founder, Christie on the pod. Hi Ian.
Hello Jessica, how you doing?
I'm trying not to laugh because you make me laugh.
I can tell.
Yeah, trying to be very serious. So the reason I wanted you on here today is because truly we do separate jobs. So I've got the perm side, you do the temp side. When I have to do your side, I freak out and I can't do it. But it also means we don't often have the perspective of what the other one's doing. And the temp market is blowing up this year. It's been really, really busy. So I thought we could do a bit of a market update. We could talk about what makes good temp, what people need to know to become a temp, and what you can see coming in the future.
Sounds great. Yeah.
I know. I thought of it all by myself. So perhaps we could just take it a step back and tell people a little bit about Think Select, because I don't think I'm ever going to get the opportunity on the podcast to chat a little plug about us. So why don't you do that?
Are you serious?
Yeah, go for it.
This is normally what you do with clients. You've literally thrown me under the bus there. Tell a little bit about Think Select. So we used to work at another recruitment firm, the pair of us. I started working with you in 2020.
Yep.
Yeah. And then it was probably 2021 whenever we both came to the decision that it would be good to maybe just go out by ourselves.
For legal purposes, it was Ian's decision.
I don't even know what to say. Anyway, no, so it just kind of came to the conclusion that it would be a better idea to go out by ourselves. I'd never worked with somebody who complemented the temp desk as well as you do, right?
Oh, that's nice to say.
It's true. And truthfully, I'd never actually seen a perm recruiter as good as you. So, sensible decision to make was, right, well, I always wanted to run my own company, and I think you did too anyway. So we came up with the name Think Search, if I remember rightly, which you hated, and changed to Think Select.
I secretly hate Think Select, guys.
I secretly hate
because
Think
it's
Select.
one of those names you have to spell every time you bloody say.
Every single time.
Every time. And there's another agency called Fin Select, which we are not. So we specialise specifically in London. We do a few roles in the UAE, and we've done a few roles in Europe, but really our niche is London and a little bit in the regions now because all the banks moving out of there. And we specialise in financial crime and reg compliance. As we said before, I do perm and Ian does contract. So what it might be an easy way to start, Ian, is if I were a perm person and I want to go contracting, what do I need to know?
So I'd just like to shoot back a little bit there. So I see how you naturally take over telling everybody about Think Select whenever I was perfectly done, which is why we're perfect for each other in this world. Anyway, so a perm person, how a perm person could convert to contracting?
Well, let me ask you some more targeted questions because I don't want to make it too broad for you. So I'm an MLRO or I am a perm KYC person and I want to go contracting. I'm on a 3-month notice period. Viable or not?
Not viable.
What's the shortest notice period I need to be on?
Do you want me to tell you why it's not viable?
Yeah,
first?
that'd be great.
Yeah, it's more helpful. It's basically client demands.
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever somebody needs a contractor, it's normally because there's an immediate need that's just come up, and that could be for a couple of different reasons. One, it could be maternity cover. It could be sickness, right? Or in a lot of the circumstances, it could be because of audit findings that are not favourable for a bank or a fintech, and they don't have the luxury of time.
Yep.
Right? So offering them somebody who's on a 3-month notice period when they have a need that they need solved within weeks is just not on the cards, really.
No, not when there's other options available as well.
Precisely. Not when there's a raft of contractors already out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And do I want a limited company or do I want an umbrella company?
That's sadly not your choice. Okay. I tell a lie. It is to an extent. So how it works is that every role that's contracting should be assessed using the CEST tool. Don't ask me what CEST stands for off the top of my head. I'm not entirely sure. But that basically establishes whether you're inside or outside IR35.
Right.
So to be outside IR35, you need to pass, I think it's three tests, right? One, that you've got the right to a substitute, right? That there's key deliverables in your role, and that there's no oversight. Right?
So no line management or anything
No
like
line management, yeah.
Tricky.
So start picturing a role that you can think of even from a temp or perm perspective that has that.
How do they manage that when you're doing like a remediation project and they are managing a remediation team?
Well, a remediation I would say that would probably be an inside role, right? Because if they're going to be bringing external parties in, that's still probably going to be overseen by either the MLRO or the head of financial crime ops, right? So
Oh, actually, sorry. Can you define inside and outside IR35 for the uninitiated?
for the uninitiated, yeah, so should you pass those tests, right? So financial crime consultants can pass those tests because they're brought in to do risk assessments, for example. So let's use them. They would be using their limited company vehicles like you used to be able to pre-2021.
Good old days.
Yeah, good old days, right? When everything was simple. That's essentially it, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to go any deeper than that.
Yeah.
It means you can use your limited company.
Right. Okay. So I'm an umbrella then, not physical.
You're an umbrella. Yep.
Cute one, but an umbrella. No, so I'm working under my umbrella company. Do I need to do tax returns?
No.
Do I?
Well, yes, you may need to.
Depending on your earnings, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And do I need to go through a recruiter or can I do that by myself?
No, you can set up your own umbrella. There's a large number of umbrella agencies out there. Umbrella, you would be using that if the role was classified as inside, which means you have two options in which you can contract. One, you can be pay as you earn, right? And that a recruitment firm or the institution itself will bring you onto its books and payroll you as normal. Okay. The other option is for them to get set up via an umbrella. Okay. Which for the client is actually the cheaper option. If they're going PAYE on top of the contractor's day rate, I think it's about 14.3% of additional costs that are added on top of it. Whereas through umbrella, it's more aligned to what the limited company cost used to be. So it's the day rate plus VAT. Right.
And there is another avenue that clients go with contractors, which is called an FTC or a fixed term contract. Generally, that is perm rights. So when you're in, you're payrolled by the client. So if you're working at a bank, you're payrolled by the bank, and then you get all perm benefits along with sickness and holiday. Because that's another thing. Let's talk about the pros and cons of going contracting.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me the three worst things about being a contractor.
You don't get paid if you're off.
Sickness or holiday.
Sickness or holiday.
Death. Not your death, someone else's death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get paid if you're off. You're looking for a job 2 to 3 times a year.
Yep.
Right. Which means you're inevitably out of work 2 to 3 times a year.
Yep.
Which is stressful. Right. And you can't really forecast, can you?
No.
Be the other thing. Right.
Because a lot of people would go contracting, I imagine, with the thought that it's going to fit around their life, which it does for a great many contractors. But, I'm a mum to my lovely boys. And if I wanted to start at 9 and finish at 3, am I hourly rated or daily rated?
Oh, you're daily rated.
Okay.
So that so contracting is fantastic for people that want a certain, wouldn't call it a flexibility in work.
Control, autonomy.
Want to take a bit more control over when they're going to work. But that isn't necessarily always going to be dictated by them. Okay?
Yeah.
So you could say to yourself in January, right, I'm in a perm job, I'm going to resign and I'm going to go contracting, right? I'm going to only work 9 months of the year. Right? You go looking for a job. You're going to get one. Yeah.
This is
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think a lot of people think, more so on the senior end of the scale, like MLROs or CCOs or senior heads of, and they think I've had enough of this rat race. I'm going to go day rating, and what's the day rate for a director or MLRO?
100 per day, depending on the institution.
And you think to yourself, I could live on that.
You definitely can.
Yeah, I can have a good life. But realistically, the contracts you're getting aren't for 9 months. You're going to get 1 month to 3 month contracts at that level while they search for a perm hire. Or you're there to embed a policy or procedure or something that needs fixing.
Yeah.
So it's not, correct me if I'm wrong, you can't really think like that. You need to think about what your earnings are going out, your minimum, and hustle from there.
Yeah. You want to be looking at your own personal P&L.
Yeah.
You want to establish how much do I need to make this year, and then there's how much do I want to make this year.
Oh my God, I'd be terrible. As soon as money came in, I'd spend it.
Yeah, right. If you imagine you were getting £1,000 at the end of every day, and it'd be a great life, right?
Yeah.
But then you do your 3 months, right? You've come away with close to like £60,000, right? After tax, you might have like £40,000, right? That's not bad. But then what if you're not working for?
Do you think there's an ideal time in someone's career for them to try contracting?
Yes, there definitely is. Before you engage in maybe having a family, right? Because I think you need a bit of security, stability, buying a house, those big decisions in life, right? I wouldn't really say that around those, saying that to you did the exact opposite, didn't you? You went and did all 3 of those things, built a house, got married, Built a house, had a kid, got married, and set up your own company. So this is a bit ironic saying this to you, but those time frames, I wouldn't like. I do say to candidates, like, this probably isn't the best time for you to be doing this, right? And it's a sensible conversation.
Well, it is,
but
yeah.
if you're before that, or if you're settled, right? If you're comfortable, if you've got your savings, if you know you're okay, right? And then this epiphany comes across you. I'd really like to give this contract and a go, right? I'm fed up with the politics, the red tape, and the internal meetings, blah blah blah. Because there is a lot of that is removed from contracting, and it's just a deliverables based role.
Let's talk a little bit about the types of contracts and things that we get. At the junior end isn't probably fair to say, but at the young, I don't know, I'm going to get in trouble for saying younger end, but when people go to contracting and they're in their early 30s,
yeah,
it's quite grunty work though, isn't it? It can be quite monotonous. Like if someone's hiring someone to do those remediation projects, or even if it's not remediation, if it's something a little bit sexier like a BA, it's still like workhorse work, right?
Yeah. It's very operational,
Yeah.
right? The vast majority of the contract roles, especially this year that we've seen, have been operations work. And like I don't think I'm gonna say, I think it's probably been like that for 2 to 3 years now. Yeah.
The expectation of the contractor when they're in the building is different, right? So let's talk about operations. If I placed a KYC analyst in a perm job at one of our clients, who you and I are probably thinking of the same one, it's very manual, that you've just done a remediation project for, the expectation of that candidate is completely different to your pick your laptop up, get started on Monday, get going, you are now reviewing files.
Yeah.
How can candidates prepare themselves to become that parachute solution in operations?
Mentally prepare themselves that this was a perfect time to actually say it. So in perm, what are you going to get to? Like a week's training, embedding, people looking after you, a mentor, all these various things that are going to make you, because the company wants you to be a success for the team, right? Contracting, no, right? You'll get let's use transaction monitoring as an example. You will start on a Monday. All right, okay. You'll do a couple of case demonstrations, right? Of run-throughs of the process on the system, right? And then it's go.
Yep.
Right? And from that moment onwards, it's more of an MI kind of machine where you're targeted, declare maybe, depending on the risk level, but 80 alerts a day. And then you work to that number, right?
Yeah, there's a lot more rigidity around the KPIs, right? Because you're literally a service purchased. So I've asked you to come in and paint my house, and you're not painting my house. Well, I can see the walls aren't painted.
It's the same, yeah. Principles are the same, correct?
Yeah. And I think that's where a few of our contractors have fallen down, because unfortunately it's a gossipy little market in contract.
Oh, it's wild.
Yeah. And we reference all of our contractors because we're very good recruiters. And if you've had someone on a project and they just haven't shown up, they're not being their best, whatever's going on, that reputation sticks for a year. You still hear about them, they weren't very good, they weren't hitting their numbers. And so your reputation becomes a lot more important in contract, because you're only as good as your last job. True?
That is very true.
Yeah. How can people protect their reputation or build their brand as a contractor?
Take every job that they do as serious as you can possibly take it, right? Regardless of the level that you're going in at.
Yeah.
Okay? In a dream world, right, everyone would still be getting paid. If it was in the operations world, everybody would be getting paid the same rates they were getting paid in 2016, which was £400 to £500 a day for a KYC analyst.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Well, that's what
I was doing the wrong thing.
Well, I was recruiting it. How did you think I felt? Right? I was like, my days, I should go and do this, right? Yeah. But it sounds so complex. We're not there anymore, right? The whole that's when it was really manual. I think these things like source of funds and source of wealth was so foreign to everybody. Obtaining information was just not that straightforward, right? It's all automated now, right? You can extract so much information from Companies House, and then the vendors that have enabled us to, by paying subscriptions to international jurisdictions where normally you would have had to pay for information, they kind of pay for it for you, and you pay it through your subscription fees, and you're able to obtain the information 10 times easier. It's a lot more automated. So the process in the client's eyes is a lot more simplified, right?
Yes, and it's a cost to them when they've got these
And it's a cost to them. So they kind of look at it going, right, I can understand back in 2014 when I used to pay quite a lot for a contractor, right? But I've made it easier for them, right? So it's a cost to benefit now.
Okay.
Right?
I am in trouble. I'm a bank. I've been very naughty. I need some remediations done. I want to hire a team of contractors. I want a team lead. I want an MI specialist, and I want some KYC analysts. What do each of those roles pay on a day rate?
Team lead, 450 to 500. The data and MI analyst is more of a part-time role. Okay, but you a good one. You need a good one because they're going to need to build the tracker, and then they're going to need to be going in probably once to twice a week to make sure it's up to date and produce the MI reports. Then it'll be automated and it'll produce their own. Okay, so you're probably looking at 2 weeks' time, really, depending on the length of the remediation. But they're 550 a day.
So if I was a good KYC analyst and I taught myself how to build MI trackers,
oh, you'd be wise.
I'd have a little cape on my back like a superstar.
Oh, you'd be very wise. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So what would a good team lead be able to do?
You tell me.
They'd be able to do the data and MI role.
Oh, right.
Right. Yeah.
Can any of them really do that?
Large number of them can.
Our ones can.
Our ones can.
That's what he was hoping we'd lead into there.
Yeah. Not going to give any names away. God knows who's listening.
Get out of here, other recruiters. Okay. I want to know about second line defence contract roles now. We've touched upon the first line.
Yeah.
Over the last 12 months and looking forward, where do you think the greatest need is in second line for contractors?
Post-audit fix-up jobs.
Like what?
So you've had your audit done. You've got failings across your controls, and you've got failings within your policy, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be a requirement for institutions because we've had a large number of people come in to do it. And it's to essentially fix and validate the audit findings rather than potentially... The bigger the institution, the more likely they've partnered with a very expensive auditor. Okay, one of them. Right? Now, doing the execution with them is also a lot more expensive. Right? So you tend to find they might come to market for those types of roles, right? And whenever it's issues across monitoring, insurance, policy and advisory, your governance is all over the place. Maybe you don't have the right MI, right? That's where there's a lot of second line temp roles.
Oh my God. And the day rates and the FTCs go up. And like over the last, you remember the Dear CEO letter of 2022? Can't remember when that came out. And they all said everyone wasn't doing insurance, governance and monitoring right.
Yeah.
And then suddenly all of these contractors come to market that are specialists in governance.
Specialists. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, do you not remember having to figure out what that meant? Yeah, I sure do.
Yeah. You touched a little bit on the consultancies there, and we work a lot with some, because we basically follow the breadcrumbs with consultancies sometimes. We see what's going on, and you have really good relationships with them.
Yeah, I love my friends. Yeah.
There are certain consultancies we work with, like Thistle and Fintrail and Avise, who we think are really good at what they do. What do you think makes them so good at doing these audits and recommending headcount?
The same things of why we're good at recruitment, right? Right.
Cute accents.
Just they just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Right. So there's like, is there such a thing as an ideal world friendly audit? I believe there can be. Right. There's no fintech or bank that likes to get any major risk findings on the audit.
Yeah.
Right. But there's always going to be some, right? But it's about how you, one, tell them that there is, and then tell them what they need to do.
I've noticed it a lot in the talent they put in following their audit findings. So say, even if they've not done the audit, if a client has approached any of the three I've just asked for and they want headcount, they put experience, even their consultants, perm consultants, their team in there are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like they've got real actual experience.
Yeah.
Not to say the big four don't. I'm just saying that these guys usually have come from industry. And I think it does make an impact on the type of talent that if we're following them on a temp basis or even a perm from me, the landing ground or the foundation of what they're going into is a lot stronger.
I also just think it's because the directors of those firms, it's that's who's doing the work. Right. So
true.
They show up at the pitch, they win the piece of work. And like, for example, if it's Fintrail, you meet with James and Rob, you're working with James and Rob, right?
Charming duo.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've talked about that. Now let's talk about the other side of the market we service a lot, because you're talking about our banks and our remediations and the fintechs that we work with. A lot of the time we get headcount when people aren't really sure if they can get sign off for perm roles. So it's essentially a perm role, but it is a contractor they want. We worked a role recently with a new client. that was an old client that I think you remember, and they weren't quite sure how the role would take shape. So they wanted to try a few different contractors or different iterations of the role before they went permanent. How common is that?
Not very, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's actually a really wise way to do anything. It would be the ideal world would be to start everybody as a contractor, right? And try before you buy in a working interview and then figure out if someone's perfect for you. But that's the whole point of the interview process at the end of the day.
Which is broken, but
which is
a whole nother conversation.
Which is a completely different and yes, it is. It's not as common as I guess I would like it to be. Yeah.
I thought it was a really interesting stance. It was a real pig to recruit for both of us because we were trying to do it ourselves. But
for that one, it worked though, right?
Oh, totally.
Because was it a perm? Right? That would be, on those ones, it's like looking back at the role, it was to, correct me if I'm wrong, it was to build an onboarding framework, right? Without giving any more away, right? They're going to be going into a new product, and it's to build the onboarding framework. Now, yes, once that's built, it'll turn into an operational exercise. And yes, it would have been great if said person was going to be staying to oversee it, right? But that might fall into the remit of the head of due diligence, really, right? But the building of it, well, it's a deliverable piece of work, right? It has to be gotten right. It has to be tested appropriately. And then once it's functional, you're done, right?
I prefer perm roles. Let's
just don't bring me and Jess together to any job requests.
Actually,
I might try and turn it into a temp.
People may not realise that. So Ian and
it's
I,
not on purpose.
No, it's not on purpose.
It's genuinely.
We don't really work in the same clients at the same time. Sometimes we do.
No.
But if a client's wanting temp resource, they don't usually want perm resource and vice versa. So it's quite interesting when people say, "Oh, can you introduce me to Ian?" I'm like, I don't know what he's doing this week.
It does. Yeah. Do you know? We've never worked closer together than you can possibly, because we run Think Select, right?
Yeah.
But we'll start to slowly see just how different our jobs are.
Oh my God,
right?
yeah. Like yours is, this is actually a funny story. So Ian went on honeymoon with his beautiful, lovely wife, Ronya, this year, and he went away to South Africa. And I said, you know what, Ian, you've never taken a holiday. I'm going to man the temp desk.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord is correct. Day one, he gets a request, and it was just an email. This is his world. He gets an email. Ian, we want 5 people. No explanation of what they are. We want 5 people to start on Monday. And I was like, holy hell in a bed sheet. I don't know what this is. So I'm calling in. And anyway, he's got lots of paperwork that comes back with his. It ended up, Ian came back to me having booked in interviews for a PA for us because I was like, no one can do this job by themselves. It's a lot pacier than perm, obviously. What's the turnaround time? So if a client calls you, and this is for temp, we've had comments that you don't post your jobs on LinkedIn like I do, but my turnaround time is a lot. I shortlist, I interview, I do all the perm stuff.
Yeah.
You get a job on Monday. When would the client expect CVs?
Next day.
Yeah, at the latest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so does that come from leveraging your network, or or people or do you often still have to search for people?
If it's operations, I do that kind of Rain Man thing, right? Where I know everyone that
it's crazy. Yeah,
they're just stored up there, which is probably why in January, I couldn't do it.
Because no one was on the system. Dig there.
Yeah. Well, they are on a system of sorts. Anyway, but no, there's not much searching required on that because we do tend to work with the same people or only work with referred. Right?
Oh yeah, we've learnt that lesson once or twice.
Yeah,
I think.
it's just stick to what you know.
Yeah.
But there's definitely roles that I have to search for.
Yeah.
If it's the famous role at the minute is the systems implementation, whether it be TM or payment screening, but it's not just an AML person. It's someone who can write the rules, check the script writing is correct. So there's a lot more technical expertise required, and also the use of SQL to be able to write the query so that it pulls out the correct data. Sorry, I'm going to bore you if I continue.
I love that. They're my favourite roles to recruit.
It's the role at the moment.
It's the new direction of FinCrime, I would say, is that
100%.
With that's that bit of FinCrime sat behind usually, and 3 years ago it's now ahead. I was actually just talking to a client yesterday about recruiting ahead of TM and sanction screening, and we were discussing if they need to do the testing and the tuning. It's much cheaper if they don't. Like you're talking 75 to 120k for someone who doesn't need to do it, and upwards to 180k if someone needs to do it on a perm perspective. How many contractors can truly do that job?
I only know 5. right? And luckily, I've placed them all, right?
All right, big head.
But that's the thing. Like the more requests you get,
He just ignores when I mock him, guys. By the way,
it's just,
he's used to it.
yeah. But then when I need other people, like I have to phone the 5, right?
Yeah.
Who else do we know? And then my next port of call will be to do a search on using one of the tools like LinkedIn, etc.
And the way we kind of leverage that is also we would talk to people that I've placed on a perm basis and said, do you know anyone that would be good at contracting? But again, I foresee a lot of these people wanting to go contracting but not factoring in notice period. And also the demand of the market does come in, you're in vogue now, but once all the systems have been implemented in these bigger, smaller clients, it's really a maintenance job and it's not really a big...
It is, and that's why it's maybe wiser to maybe look at the role from a perm perspective. Like that's why you've been busy in that space, right?
Yeah.
Because yes, once it's implemented, it's just ongoing maintenance, right? And it'll fall into the model risk and validation team. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like a few of our clients have hired expensive and experienced contractors on the initial stages, which is the right way to do it because that is the high cost, and then you can hire someone a little bit cheaper on the perm basis.
Yeah.
So talking about that, is there any other areas for, like, if anyone's listening wanting a bit of a market update, what would you say if someone said, give me a market update?
I'll give you 2, right? So I'll do the operations one first, right? Because obviously that's where my heart lies at the end of the day.
Guys, he's in my phone as the king of KYC.
Oh, I love it. I mean that. So look, it's been rough, okay?
Yeah.
Like if I look back to yesteryear, remediation was the thing, right? The FCA was clambering all over the banks, right? But they fixed themselves largely.
Yeah.
Right. To an extent, they're in a different route. The big institutions are in a different path now. They're automating.
Yeah.
Right. They're offshoring. Right. The big operations teams are not in the UK. Right. So where's the roles been? Right. They've not been there for nearly a year and a half. Right. What we've found, and I guess what's kept us busy and continues to keep us busy, is that working with around the Series B fintechs and neobanks, right, where they maybe have scaling issues or they don't have the perm people, right, to take off the BAU, they could double desk, right, they're already swamped. They're the ones that are bringing in the contractors, but they're not the same scale of requirement though, right? Where
how many are you talking?
These high-tired banks, they bring in 200 people. Like our projects that I would do is 10 people, right? For 3 months, right? So we're doing a lot more work, right? With a lot more clients, just over shorter periods of time, right?
Just before we go into the next point, I think it's worth noting those 200 people that have been in banks are now still in market.
Still in the market.
And they're looking for jobs. And that's a big problem. You and I spent a great deal of time speaking to people out of work on the temp market. And I can imagine from your side, it's quite heavy to do that day in and day out. Do you have any advice for any of those 200, well, it's more than 200, but those people looking for work?
Yeah, but there are roles out there, but I do think that there's a lot more appetite to be bringing people on perm, right, from that perspective. And it's the roles that we don't see nor know about, right? Like I know that Barclays and Santander are on a massive drive for hiring analysts because I speak to people every single week about where you interview, right? And those 2 names come up time and time again, right? So it's maybe for a while for the contractors, maybe it's time to consider moving into a perm role for a period of time and then maybe going back to contracting.
Yeah.
Should the market change? On that, what way is the market changing? The market's becoming more automated, right? So what am I going to tell everybody? Very, very, very simply. Start thinking about learning more skills in order to allow you to assist with automation, right? And that's not me telling you to become a BA. That's me telling you maybe learn how to use SQL, right? Upskill yourself in Excel. And that doesn't matter what level of experience you've got. Systems are extremely expensive and no big institution's just going to turn it on overnight and make it work, right? But in-time systems are going to replace certain levels of roles, like level 1 transaction monitoring, for example, will be done by systems. And then what the outputs will be the high risk, and it'll be the analyst's job to review the higher risk transaction. Okay. Same on KYC. You're only looking at EDD. The CDD will probably likely be automated. So learn how to do the automation. That way you can ask the system questions to ensure what's coming out is true.
It must be quite scary. And I'm just saying this from a perspective, if I was in their shoes, I'd be absolutely terrified. Say you're not 25 doing that job, you're 45, 50 and you've got a family and suddenly the market's dropped and we're asking people to retrain. I can imagine it's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
So we're saying these things, by the way, with so much empathy for how hard it would be to actually be in those shoes. Just something to talk about, though, is the working from home debate, which is not even a debate anymore, but it's come back to the fore because particularly in operations, while we're talking about that side of the market, it is being demanded that people come in 4 to 5 days a week. 3 days is luck, 4 days is common, and 5 days is bad luck. So what's your thoughts on it? Do you agree with it for operations?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Actually, where possible, I like to get the analysts into the office, right? For one, it gives the client the oversight over them, right? I do think it's healthier. Like, because we were doing fully remote, and then me and you started going into town twice a week, right? I think it's good to get out, right? And keep that balance in life, even if it's just getting dressed in the morning and being around people. We're humans at the end of the day. We're meant to be social people, right? So it's healthy. But it also does show on the MI, right?
Yeah.
The MI speaks for itself.
There has been a lot of not a lot, that sounds really exaggerated. A few, small portion of contractors working 2 jobs while they're contracting. And we had a funny instance. Do you remember when you were telling me about that person who had a introduction video while they're on a Teams call on another laptop?
Yes.
Going on?
Yes, I do.
The moxie on them. Yeah, and that is contributing to the people out of work at the moment because some people simply can't afford to come into London for 4 days a week, 3 days a week on. And I understand on 150, 200, 250 a day or whatever. So let's talk about the other side of the market away from contract operations. What do you see for more sort of second line roles this year?
It'll continue. We're still actually doing quite a lot of work in that space, but it is all off the back, like I said earlier, of audit findings. Startups who are trying to obtain licenses, right? They're looking, obviously they need a permanent MLRO on place to do the application in the first place, but depending on the product that they're looking to go live with, right, they'll probably bring contractors onto that with it, right? Because then they need to be thinking about on that go live date having their TM tools ready and their CRM working effectively, okay? And that's a lot of work for one perm MLRO. So we'll be good in that space. We'll find a lot of kind of fix up jobs around policy, and then that policy not being fit for purpose to be operationalized internally, where there seems to always be that.
Is that when it's more like an off-the-shelf solution from one of the big 4?
100%, yeah. It's just writing, right? And then someone in the ops team's meant to go, oh, great, like, how do we make this work, right? Yeah. I'd actually love to be in the room whenever they read that, right? Like, I've read them before and I've been like, what?
Are they quite? I've never read one. Are they?
Have you not?
Well, I'm not married to an MLRO, Ian.
Yeah, well, my MLRO. I've never seen any of her stuff.
Oh, I suppose you wouldn't have.
No,
but,
no, she locks the door. Yeah.
You know, you get all the recruiter secrets.
Yeah, she's a weirdo.
But are they quite legal type documents when you're reading them?
It looks legal to me.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's not like here with thy withstanding, which obviously the pair of us have been privy to personally, but like they are they're guidelines, right? Of what would be say for EDD, it would be the requirements of what's needed per jurisdiction, per entity type, right? Sometimes in quite long form over the space of 20 pages, right? Yep. And I start picturing an analyst, right?
Yeah,
all right, picture yourself if anyone gives you 20 pages of writing, what are you going to do? I'm just going to go, good God.
Oh, I love it.
Right? Whereas if where we find that temps are actually quite good at that is, okay, there seems to be a break.
But also, if they're doing it a lot day in and day out, that's their job, they're also a lot more efficient and effective, right?
Yeah. But it's where I'm saying is if the temp, where clients are finding these are the, not necessarily the second line or first line, it might be the CEO, might actually approach on this one or the COO. There's an evidence of a clear break between the two functions, right? How about we bring in a senior contractor to review, risk assess to see what's going on and where that break is. And most of the time it's just because the policy can't be operationalized because the operations don't allow for the policy to work. Right? It's just not going to happen. So it's tweaks need to be made, advice needs to be given, testing needs to be done, and then they're out. Yeah.
Yeah, and as a cost base, if you're a hiring manager and you're thinking about going temp or perm, there is the thought like you could just quick pain of paying some day rates, get it done, rather than stretching it out and trying to upskill a perm employee who probably won't even need to do it again for a very long time. Or you could ask the contractor to help upskill them. That's the other thing that we see.
But the perm person's probably too busy.
Oh my God, yeah.
Tell me an MLRO that's not overstretched because of the business's growth appetite at the minute.
Oh, the big ones.
Or new products going to market, new jurisdictions that they want to work in. That is mental, right, for an MLRO, because they're told by their product teams last minute, we need to be ready for this date. What?
Yep.
Right? Is always going to be the reaction. And also they need to make sure their framework's fit for purpose.
Yeah.
Right? And manage the BAU.
Yep.
Right? Hence now you start to say, okay, I need some help, but I don't need it for long, right? I don't really know how long I need it for. So they would look to bring in contractors for roles like that.
Really nice segue into my next point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm a hiring manager. I am an MLRO. Finally.
Is that actually your dream?
No, I'd be terrible. I'd let everything through the door.
Jessica.
I'm an MLRO and I want to hire some contractors. How can I be a really good hire of contractors? What will make me get the most bang for my buck?
Well, one, you want to make sure you've got very, very defined roles for them. When you're using an agency, right? So
only one good agency.
Yeah, so if they're coming to me, like I want to hear those definitions, like bluntly.
What,
right?
like this is what I need out of them in the 3 months, or
this is the deliverables, and I want this done in 3 months
for perm for second and first line and third.
Yeah, it could be any role really, right? So once I've got those clear specifics, right, then as I'm working with my network, I'm going to be able to know if they've actually done that before or not, because I want the lift from here set to there, right? You've done it before, so that it's a good match, right? That's very important.
What about interviewing? I know some of your clients don't even interview people you place because you're that good and they trust you. But is there a different style to interviewing a contractor versus a perm? Because I know a lot of it goes on vibes and gut chat and gut feeling, but is there anything you could suggest?
A lot of it's, so in interviewing it is on, like a lot of it is on how well you get along. Like it's a very natural thing with the hiring manager, right? But I think one thing just to be prepared for is always like what is the role that you're interviewing for, and much like perm, just have some examples ready, right?
But really specific ones, right?
Specific, right? So let's say you're going to work at like a commodities brokerage, okay? All their customers are funds, global corporates, right? If you're preparing for your interview and you're going to go in with a retail based customer, right? Like me, right? As your example, right?
Dodgy.
Yeah, real dodgy, right? You know, like that's not really what they're wanting to hear, right?
But as the hiring manager, how can they also prepare for? Sometimes I see in contract a personality hire gets made. Do you know what I mean? Like, so they'll hire someone because they're extroverted and they sound really intelligent. They know what they're talking about, and then they get in and they're going, oh yeah, I've not actually looked at an ABC policy before, but I know what it is. So how do you counter that? I assume it's references. References,
or if they getting the hiring manager to prepare for the interview firstly. Right, the hiring manager's obviously got borderline, maybe close to being a specialist in that given area, right? So sit down for 10 minutes and picture yourself doing the job and dot it out, A to B, this is what's going to get done over this period of time. I'm not the one doing it, I'm hiring for it, but this is what I'm expecting to hear from the people that I'm going to be interviewing, right?
A lot of the temp hiring gets done in a panic, right? Like, oh my God, this has landed on my desk. Right, Ian, can you find me a contractor to do this? Yeah. But then you end up with someone who could do the job, but there's probably someone better out there if you'd sat down and thought about what you need.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're going to wrap up because we've got people to see and lots of things to do today. But I was wondering, do you have any funny interview stories, or is there anything that's really stood out in your mind? You've gone, oh my God, that's going to stick with me for my career.
Oh yeah, like I get like it's an ongoing thing in my life. I think it's like half the problem with being mates with most of my hiring managers, right? Is 'cause, like, you know,
Yeah.
It's a great thing.
Blessing and a curse.
Yeah, it's that you get the truth.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm no names here, but this was a recent one, and this was a big company, right?
Mm.
And you know, I'm prepping candidates, and I'm like, look, this is a big company, right? You know, it's whilst it's on Teams, I'm not expecting, you know, for people to be in shirts and ties and, you know, nice blouses. My mum uses the word blouses. I don't know if blouses, I haven't said.
They're a thing, yeah.
Is blouse still a thing?
I mean,
Anyway, I'm like, I'm not really so much. I'm thinking that might be dressed appropriately, but luckily the person was dressed appropriately. But and forgive them, they didn't have a laptop, right? I'm fine, right? They had their mobile phone, and that's, well, you might look like that, but at the same time, maybe if they don't have a
I think I
laptop,
know
they
what you're
don't have a
gonna say.
laptop.
That's
Oh, what you mean? You know the story?
I think that's why my face dropped.
Yeah, all right, yeah. So I think I said the candidate was obviously potentially watching the likes of Jerry Springer or some kind of chat show the night before where he decided to hit the live audience while he was doing the interview, essentially. So we've got the client on one end who's asking, you know, questions, right? And the phone was started where it should have been, but it ended up in their hand. And like, it wasn't necessarily a phone connectivity based issue, but they moved and travelled around their location while they were interviewing, right? Moving from one spot of the house to the other, right? That they didn't even do a particularly great interview questions wise.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
But if you're going to do it mobile, right, and literally mobile, it's probably like not going to end well, right? So anyway, feedback I got from the candidate was positive, right? Feedback I got from the hiring manager was, there are positive points, however this happened. And I was sat there going, you know, there are things you can't control.
You can't teach.
There are things that you can't.
Right? Last summer I had a candidate interview
Yeah.
in a boob tube, and the whole time the client thought she was naked.
Well, I'll be.
I was like, did you not mention it? And they were like, no, it didn't feel appropriate to say. And I'm like,
What did you want them to say? Are you wearing anything?
well, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly. There's not a lot of things we
Just
can control.
sit there and, right.
But also interviewing in a boob tube's not entirely appropriate anyway. Yeah. Well, thanks very much for coming on. I know I pestered you for weeks and weeks to do this, and it's not your comfort zone, so I do appreciate it. I've learned some stuff as well.
I've learned a lot too. No, I've enjoyed this. Thank you very much for having me on. It's a good opportunity.
Cool.
And a shout out to my KYC nation out there.
Very cute. Okay, bye.